Ever really think about how our whole financial world actually worked before everything was just a tap on your phone? I mean, before the internet, before databases as we know them, there is this amazing, kind of messy, and incredibly physical system that ran on paper, ink, and just pure human smarts. So today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the world of 1960s banking.
Okay, so picture this. You walk up to a teller's desk in, say, 1965. You hear the clunk of one of those old credit card imprinters, the knuckle busters. You see a giant paper ledger sitting open on the counter. So the question is, how in the world did that teller know if the check you just handed them was actually any good? How did anyone know if you really had the money?
All right, let's get into it. The very first problem they had to solve was just fundamental. How do you get information off a piece of paper and into any kind of automated system? I mean, you can't process what you can't read, right?
Now, if you're thinking the answer is some clunky early version of a computer database, you got to throw that idea right out the window. The solution wasn't software, not at first anyway. It was something way more clever. It was like a bridge between the physical world and the digital one.
And here's the breakthrough: MICR. It stands for Magnetic Ink Character Recognition. If you look at the bottom of pretty much any check today, you'll still see that kind of weird-looking font. Well, that's called E13B, and it was absolutely revolutionary. It's printed with an ink that has iron oxide in it, so a machine could magnetize it and then read it, almost like an old-school barcode. For the first time ever, a machine could read financial data right off the paper. A simple check suddenly became a piece of data.
So, being able to read the data in one place, that's a huge first step. But the next challenge, well, it was even bigger. Once you have that data, how do you build a network to share it with another bank, maybe all the way across the country?
Yeah, forget fiber optics. As you can see right here, the network of the 1960s had wings. Literally. Instead of zipping digital packets around the globe instantly, you had fleets of small airplanes taking off every single night, hauling these huge bags stuffed with paper checks between cities. This was the physical internet of its day, and it was totally dependent on good weather and actual human hands sorting and delivering all that data.
And this physical network created this really unique problem they called float, which this slide lays out perfectly. So step 1, you deposit a check. Easy enough. But then, step 2, the plane carrying that physical check from, let's say, San Francisco to New York gets grounded by a thunderstorm. Now, for days, that money is just floating. Your bank has credited your account, sure, but it has no idea if the money in that San Francisco bank actually exists yet.
So, with all these built-in delays, how could a teller possibly do something as basic as checking an account balance in anything close to real time? I mean, how do you query a database that might be stuck on a tarmac 1,000 miles away?
Well, this is where they got really creative. Banks started building these incredibly clever systems to try and solve this. In the 1960s, for example, Wells Fargo introduced a system called DOLLIE, which was this pioneering attempt to get account balance information right there to the teller's window.
But here's the wild part. The word online meant something totally different back then. It had zero to do with the internet. It literally meant a teller picking up a telephone and getting on the line with a central operator. That operator would then, by hand, look up your balance on a giant paper printout or maybe a big reel of magnetic tape. That was 1960s online banking. Pretty incredible, right? And this just nails the nature of the whole system. DOLLIE was completely human-powered. It was slow, it was fragile, and it was totally dependent on phone lines. But you have to think about it. This was the very first step, conceptually, toward real-time banking. It's the direct ancestor of you checking your balance on an app right now.
So when you put all these pieces together, you start to see how these physical, sometimes clumsy systems, the magnetic ink, the airplanes, the telephone operators, they weren't just quirky little footnotes in history. They were the actual foundation for the digital world we all live in today.
First, you had MICR. It created the whole idea of machine-readable financial data. That was the innovation that taught our systems the language of money. Then you had the network of airplanes. Yeah, it was slow, and yeah, it depended on the weather, but it established the nationwide pathways for clearing transactions that our digital systems still basically follow today. And finally, systems like DOLLIE, powered by people and telephones, they planted this incredibly powerful seed of an idea that you should be able to get information about your money instantly, whenever you ask for it.
So the thing to remember is that before all the seamless, invisible digital transactions we have now, there was this incredible, tangible world. It was a giant, complicated machine made of paper, ink, and human hands, all working together just to keep the money moving.
Which kind of leaves us with one last thought. We think of our world as being completely digital, but these analog systems have these really long legacies. So what paper chases? What hidden manual or physical processes do you think still exist just beneath the surface of our modern digital world?